Well, hey, everybody, happy Saturday or Sunday, whenever you watch this. Thanks for hanging out with me. Grab a beverage, coffee, ice water, whatever your beverage of choice is, and let's talk some fun things that are garden related outside and inside, starting with some delicious kale chips that I'm going to make from some fabulous Latino kale, curly kale, that my friend Jen gave me. I want to go over some just really easy, fun, kind of rapid fire summer tips that I think might enhance the quality of your summer. I want to show you my finalized closet where I rebooted all of my china and my glassware. Well, there's just a lot of things to talk about. So what do you say?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, in the last video, it was the last Wednesday walkabout before I go on sabbatical, or I think it is. My sabbatical starts August 1st, but you guys had some questions and I haven't answered any for a while. So there were some that seemed really pertinent right now. And so I thought I screenshotted those. Screenshotted, is that an expression? I took a screenshot of those questions and I thought I would answer them today. So take it away, Leah.
Okay. This follower asks, my question that I keep meaning to ask, what true help do you receive, Linda? My garden is beautiful, but I truly do everything myself and I'm paying the price. I'm picking up heavy stuff, getting arthritis, I look disgusting in my garden, I'm dripping in sweat and makeup is impossible. I'm very feminine, but I couldn't look like you. Do you just prune and water? Do you have cleaning ladies for the house? And how do you wash your cool job gloves without them going sticky?
Well, that is a lot of questions packed into one. So I'm going to try not to get into the weeds too much in my answer, but I will say this. When I first started to garden 30 years ago, I did everything myself. And pretty much when I moved from the other house, with some exceptions, I was doing everything myself. Now that I am older, I am wiser, and I'm really trying to be, I think, a little bit more mindful about how I garden. Some of those things have changed, and here's what I mean. Number one, I realized at the other house and when I moved here that now there are just certain limitations I'm abutting up against where I have to have help. Things are too tall for me to reach. Things are too heavy for me to pick up. Things are just, maybe I could do them, but it's not efficient for me to do them. And for those kinds of things, especially when you're starting a new garden, definitely I got help. So when I installed the trees, obviously somebody else dug those great big old holes for my soil amendment and things. I did hire some of that stuff out. Originally, when I started my garden, I did not do that. But over time now, increasingly, more and more of the gardening here I will be doing myself, because if I want to add a shrub, if I want to take out a shrub, that is stuff that is within my capabilities to do, and I will continue to do that. So now what do I do myself? Unless I'm using my little push reel mower, I let somebody else come in and mow and edge. Why? Because the edging is now bad on my back. B, I don't want to store anymore. I don't want to store a lawnmower. I don't want to store all of that kind of equipment. And C, now I work extensively, and this is a perk I have, and I recognize I have it and you guys don't. I work extensively with Kayla, and so I get a pretty good deal on having some of that stuff done. I'm also a lot busier than I used to be, and part of the reason that I work is so that I can pay for some of those things to be done on my behalf. But have I done it in the past? Could I still do some of that stuff? Yes, I could. I do, for the most part, all of the pruning, all of the deadheading, except for when I'm on vacation. I do all of the watering, I do all of the feeding, I maintain all of the potted plants, I do my container plantings myself, but I no longer will get on tall ladders for things. If something is really heavy, I no longer will try to move a large pot by myself, and I do get help with those. So you say, okay, well, that's all well and good. What are some suggestions that you would have for me as someone who may now be getting older, as am I, and suffering from arthritis? I would say keep a list of all of those things you need help with. Aggregate that list and then try to find someone that it would be economical to have come over and help you. That might be a strong person in your neighborhood with a strong back. It might be a relative. It might be a son. It might be a service. Start paying attention, asking around. When you see other yard crews on the street, ask them if they could come over and help you with a small project or whatever. A lot of it is just asking for help. And I sense from this person's query that you are a do-it-yourself kind of person. And so I'm also going to guess you have trouble asking for help. So just accept the limitations, but also the freedom of having someone else help you. And you know, if you can't afford it, then I would say just ask for volunteer help. Just ask. I think it's a way to build relationships. It's a way to build community. And I've really tried to get over that myself. Now I ask for help a lot. And if I can help that person in any way with something, I am happy to do it. So maybe you can bake cookies in exchange for some heavy labor or something like that. But here's where you can use your ingenuity. Ask AI, ask ChatGPT, ask your neighbors. Just start asking around, but most importantly, just don't be hesitant to ask for help. You can still do a lot within your own capabilities, but that which is not safe for you to do any longer, don't do it. Okay, these I have been eating nonstop all summer long. Compliments of a lot of kale I've been getting from my friend Jen at Bricks. She gives me the kale and I immediately transform them into kale chips, which are, let's just say, kind of a healthy knockoff on potato chips. So I am going to don my cute little apron that my friend Angie made for me, and let's do it. We'll put the screenshot of the recipe up in case you guys want to try to do it yourself.
That was too
Will you tell us how much the flagstone costs you? This follower wants to make sure it is something that might be doable for them before they proceed.
Okay, so a lot of times I think this is once you get into gardening, you become very opportunistic and you start seeing trash along the side of the road. You start seeing buildings that are being demolished. You see something that's been put out for Big Trash Day and you ask your neighbor, do you need that? I'm constantly just looking around my own property for things that I could use to stabilize a raised bed or to stabilize a pot or to equalize something out. So sometimes what you want is already around you. We just have to look at it in a certain way. I am not someone that is shy about picking up something. If I see a large boulder or something in the middle of the road and it's just there, it obviously doesn't belong to anyone. If I can press it into service in some way for use in my garden, I will. If I go over to Stuart's house and I've done this before, and he has something and he said he's getting rid of it or whatever, and I think, oh, I can use that in my garden, then I ask for it, because to me that's being responsible about turning trash into treasure. As far as flagstone goes, you can go to Lowe's and you can get pieces of flagstone that are about this big for about $3. If you can't afford it all at once, then you just buy one at a time when you go. Ask for it for Christmas presents. Ask for it, for Mother's Day gifts. And while you're at it, in the attic, look to see if there's anything up there that you might be able to use. And whenever possible, this is something that I would do with my kids and that I have done. And that's that I don't only want this thing, I want the labor associated with it. So I have asked for bags of compost or bags of manure for gifts, and I ask for them to deliver it to me and to lift it up to the top level, whatever. Just be resourceful, don't be embarrassed. And there are so many things that...
I gotta ask, did any of your kids get you a bag of poop for Mother's Day?
A bag of poop for Mother's Day? Actually, yes, they have.
That's awesome.
Yes, actually they have.
That's what Santa leaves in your stocking.
That Santa leaves in your stocking. And ask for coupons in your stocking for labor, for things like that. But a lot of it is just opening your eyes, being opportunistic. Find it at Goodwill. Find it, if you see it lying around in a brickyard someplace and there's somebody standing there and said, are you getting rid of this? Because if you are, there's a way that I could use it. And so I've done that for years. So it's one of the reasons that I think I've been able to, in a pretty, especially at my other house, budget-minded way, create a garden. A lot of the bricks and some of the pieces of stone I took from my mom's house in Indiana. I'll ask Kayla if she's got any trash just laying around her property. She lives on a great big farm. I could ask Ben at Ralph's Ranch.
Go to a construction site.
Go to a construction site. A lot of it is just being aggressive and being resourceful in a nice way. Okay, last one.
Okay, in that vein, this follower asks, how much have you spent on plants alone to landscape your front and back gardens?
Okay, well, that's where I would say I am very fortunate because, again, this is my job. This is the industry that I'm within. And so because of that, I have bought many Southern Living plants, but Southern Living has given me many, many plants because I'm a spokesperson for them. I am friends with landscapers in the business, my friend Roger, my friend John. If they are working on other landscapes and there are plants that are not perfect enough for some of their clients and they're going to be removed, or if they just have excess or something, sometimes they will gift those to me. I am always happy to accept plants from others. I have so many friends that we exchange plants together. My friend Carolina Elizabeth, I've told you before, she will start a bunch of seedlings and she'll bring some to me and I will give her seeds. My friend Jen, same thing. So I will take their plants, their starts, and I will grow them on. So that is definitely, I'll take starts from other people, cuttings from other people. And before you know it, they can turn into something that is really a substantial contribution to your garden. You've seen how I've taken on sale $2 misshapen boxwood and transformed them into topiaries. So that is a way to save money. How much I have spent overall, I'm not really sure, but part of it was, quite frankly, from the proceeds that I made off of the sale of my other house, because we had lots of equity in that house and I knew that when I changed I wanted to start another garden, and so I reserved some of that budget for that. But again, I did this garden I did overnight because I'm old now. My other garden I built over 30 years and it didn't look like it, you know, it didn't look mature immediately. And so some of that is just having time and patience. Some people think that I love the look of the front yard. I think it's quintessentially cottage. Some people think it's overgrown and too busy. In that case, then, if that's your style, you wouldn't plant as much, so you wouldn't need as much plant material. Sometimes something will die and I don't replace it. So I can't answer that specifically. I did bring a lot of plants from my other house. A lot of plants were gifted to me, but did I have a substantial investment in, you know, in some of the infrastructure and things initially? Yes, but I just feel like that was a cost of doing business and moving into another old house. So that pretty much wraps it up. Is there any more questions, Leah?
Yeah, one more question.
You guys always seem to like the befores and afters, and it's important for me too to see how far we have come, not so how far we have to go yet. And so Stuart, let's put a couple of before shots right here and contrast it to how much stuff has matured over time. It amazes me still. Thank you for the wonderful crew that I had to help me, and thank you Mother Nature for cooperating. Okay, at the end of summer, two things happen. Our plants start looking less than their best, and we get really sick of watering. And so this project is going to address both of those issues. And here's how we're going to do it. I bought, at the beginning of the year, I bought 2 of these pots of angel wing begonias, or dragon wings, whatever they are. And I have just had them in baskets like this. Okay, these are some of my Kobo baskets from QVC that sadly are not available anymore. And they have pretty much made it all through the summer, but now they're starting to just look a little bit peaked, and I'm getting tired of watering them. And I also notice that in these plastic pots, it's really been hard for them to hold on to the moisture. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take them out of their pots and I'm gonna transplant them into a bigger pot. And that bigger pot will be able to hold more moisture. It will make a more impressive display. I won't have to water it as much, obviously. But the other thing is, I will then cut these back, give them a really, really good feed, and that will improve their appearance. So just as the temperatures begin to cool, this will really come into all its glory. Now I know sometimes it's hard to cut off flowers when they get leggy like this, but I promise you it's really worth it to go ahead and take take that risk, if you will.
That's information you have to know because you're just not gonna.
Because you're not going to do it, you're not going to do it instinctively because it's kind of scary. Now I'm sitting here on this mat. You guys know I use this almost daily. I keep it under my sink because it just really helps me contain mess. The other thing addresses one of the questions that someone asked me earlier about how much of this do I do myself, and this is a perfect example. So this pot was partially filled with soil, about half full. In other words, it was pretty heavy. And I wanted it to move from down on the lower level to up on the upper level. So I had a neighbor help me. I help him on different things and he was happy to help me. So he carried this up for me. I did not mind asking. And then to replenish the soil that was already in there, I just added some new soil to it. And in this case, I'm just using a Miracle-Gro potting mix. And you may ask me, well, what potting soil do I like to use? And typically, that's Hub's job. Hubs goes and picks up potting soil for me or whatever, and it'll just be whatever is convenient for him. This isn't in-ground stuff, so I am just not that concerned about it being organic. And Hubs just gets whatever is easiest for him to find, and what's easy for him is always better for me because that means he will do it. Okay, so I'm going to take this.
Well said.
Yes, yes. Well, it's true. It's true. We all have to live together. Okay, so now I'm going to take this one and plop it in there. And immediately I can see how this is really going to fill this out. I'll kind of spread it out a little bit. Don't let your plants boss you. And then I will add whatever additional soil I need to add to fill in those gaps. And I normally in these kind of things I might add Osmocote, but I'm not going to because this is Miracle-Gro and it's got a slow release fertilizer in it. Really press that down in there. Just filling in all the voids. I don't want any air pockets. And sometimes too what I'll do, you guys, is and you know this, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, is I'll water it and then the soil will settle and then I'll notice that I have to add a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
Because the soil will settle and then
well, I water my pots, my little potted plants by my sink at home, and over time, there's just less dirt in it.
Yeah, there's less dirt in there. Some of it washes away, some of it gets compressed. And when you've got an established container and in the spring you want to top dress it or whatever, then having a little bit of room like that is not necessarily a bad thing. Okay.
One big plant.
Now it looks like one big plant. It will make more of a statement. I didn't want it to be on those shelves anymore because I'm kind of rethinking how I want my plant terraces to look. I can then take these back and I can recycle these. These were big begonia big. That's just a mounding annual, that's all it said. That's all the tag said. And you can see that I bought them. Here's another way to save money. I bought them on sale. You can see how there's a line across through them. I bought them on sale. Okay, so now you ask, how will I cut these back? Well, I start out by just removing anything that's brown. So there's lots of flower heads that have browned. You can see like right there, obviously.
Show them where again.
Yeah, okay, like just right here, and I don't even really have to cut it, they just fall off. So I'm just going to remove those, and that will immediately make the presentation a little bit more appealing. And then one thing I'm going to do, and I think sometimes there's a tendency to find a difficulty in finding the right balance between overwatering and underwatering these, because some of the leaves are even showing signs of being overwatered. And that's because it's just difficult in these plastic pots to get consistent moisture. So then I'm going to cut off just some of the most egregious leaves that just are really marring the appearance of the plant. And then I'll come back in and I'll assess, okay, which ones of these do I want to cut back and root to turn into new plants? And that's exactly what I did with all of these over here. All of these are cuttings from former plants. And these, by the way, I have moved from one location to another location because, yes, don't let your plants boss you. Pots can be moved. And I moved these to where they were a little bit happier. They're still not quite as happy as they were a couple of months ago, but nevertheless, they're doing pretty well. Both of these were cuttings off of a major plant, and all of these were as well. So the cuttings are definitely something that have merit. Pretty soon, I'm going to be, all this mess over here will be abolished because I'm going to be, as part of my organizational frenzy, is I'm going to be switching out that shed into an outdoor entertainment shed, and all of my other practical things are going to go in a different place. So, Stuart, let's come over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut back some of the especially long ones. You can see right here, I'm going to cut it back just to above a leaf node right there.
Almost got it. There we go.
Got it?
Yeah. I saw it.
Okay.
All right, bugs. Don't be mosquitoes.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, and I might do several of these. In fact, I might just be really aggressive and continue with almost the whole plant. And then by the time the temperatures improve, weather conditions improve, and my attitude improves about spending more time outside, this will be flush and beautiful again. So just water it in, and there you go. There is a quick and easy way to make the end of summer a little bit easier. Okay, you can tell I'm already starting to think about fall. I planted these red fountain grasses in pots a little while ago, and this one is still looking pretty. It was probably too large for this pot, and I'm taking that into account. But here's another end of season thing that will help you not have to water so much, and it's using what you have and just working with what you've got. So I had 2 pots of this fountain grass that were up here. And I noticed that they were starting to struggle and that they were turning brown. And I got tired of watering them up here, and I was too lazy to move them down because, of course, pots can be moved. And then I thought, you know what? I'm really liking the way they look in this brown state, because that looks very prairie to me. It looks very, it looks very autumnal. So I decided I'm going to quit watering them. I'm going to let them brown completely, and then in the fall I'm going to stick in lots of orange gourds and things in here, and that will really pop against this gray fence, and I think it'll be kind of fun and very seasonal. And it's got seed heads and things. So this is another way to make the end of, another quick and easy way to make the end of summer a little less tough on you. And that's just not only reduce the amount of watering you have to do by planting things in larger pots, but then just quit watering some things altogether. Okay, I've been wanting to point this out to you guys for a long time. You know my obsession with my pumpkin plant over here. And yes, I have some that are really growing up to be big guys. I'm so excited. Looky there. There's one there. There's a gourd. I've got some little ones in other places, so it's really fun. And what I've been able to do, as you recall, the very sad event where one of them, you can see it right there, was on the ground, and and it started getting eaten up by roly-polies, which just really devastated me. So I decided that I needed to get more of these vines up off the ground and climbing over this tutor and really even into one of my trees. It looks a little sad over there. But one thing that has helped me, and this is what I've been wanting to tell you. So this is one of my 5 quick things. These clasps, these clips that I got online are wonderful. You can get big ones and small ones. I bought one set a while back, and I'm definitely going to get another set because they are so easy to use. They come in large and small. Here's some of the large ones right here.
Oh, okay. There we go.
And they help secure the vine not only to the tutor, but also they can secure the vine to another vine in another area. And I've used those there, but look over here.
Well, they kind of have a nice size to them. So you
They
can
have
fit
a
multiple.
yes.
Yeah, that's cool.
And what I love about them is that they're so easy to use. Unlike ties that you have to kind of manipulate, these just clip on and off. And recently I started some trellising here, a wire grid to climb my rose on, and this is a way that I can secure the rose to the wire. It's loose enough so it doesn't strangulate it, it doesn't cause any abrasions at the point of attachment, and I think it's really brilliant. So we will put a link for you guys, but these are one of my favorite gardening things for this year. Well, I just got back not long ago from Target, and I saw that all of the back to school stuff is absolutely everywhere, and I always like to check out the back to school items in case I want anything. But another thing, here's a tip, is I always check if at the end of summer, I don't care about whether or not bathing suits are on sale or bathing suit covers or things, but what I always do look for, and that is, are straw hats on sale? Because sometimes at the beginning of the year, straw hats and straw bags too can be a little bit pricey, but at the end of the season, they're at a great price point. And I like to have not only hats for myself, because I'm a hat kind of gal, but I also like to have them just for people who come to visit. So when Leah comes here for working outside, she's forgotten her hat, it's really hot, she just knows that she can just pick one up off of anywhere and she can put it on.
And they're all really nice and cool.
Yeah, and you can see over here, look how many I've got over there on that hat rack. Yes, I am a girl that likes hats. Okay, so the other day I showed you how I've been in an organizational frenzy before my sabbatical. I was rearranging my now entertainment closet, and when I showed it to you last, I didn't have I had ordered some shelves and some other organizational things. I didn't have all of that there when I shot the video, and I can't remember if I alluded to that or not. A lot of you were concerned about how much weight that I had up above, particularly since Oklahoma can be prone to earthquakes, and I really felt it would have been fine up there, but since I was waiting for another rolling cart, I did receive it, and a lot of that china has now moved down to this rolling cart. So I can now roll this one out, I can roll this one out, and I have other pieces that are more lightweight up on top. And I'll put a link to this cart if you guys are interested. Now, someone else suggested, well, maybe I should put all of my napkins and linens and things up here and all of the china down there. And I could have done that, but for me, I use all of these napkins, these cloth napkins, on a regular basis. And I really wanted them to be very, very accessible, not only so that I can just pull them off and use them easily, but also because after I wash them and fold them, sometimes I don't like to put them away. If I have to go to any kind of expenditure of energy to put it away, I'm less likely to do so. And then it just sits around and it contributes to clutter. So this way, all I have to do is just toss them on here, and it's really, I think it makes it easy. Some of you were concerned about whether or not my linens would fade in this closet. And these windows have a bubble treatment on them, which reduces the amount of glare. But quite frankly, even if these do fade some, that doesn't bother me a bit, because as you guys know, I like things that are kind of aged. The other thing is I can rotate them in and out, but again, that doesn't bother me very much. So it's another question of just to know thyself and whether or not an organizational strategy will work. If I think it's going to start bothering me, then all I have to do is just put some kind of cloth on there and I can protect them. But I like seeing them there. I like seeing how they are in display and what I have available when I'm getting ready to entertain. So I think that's kind of fun. And then the lights and things that we use when we shoot, they're just in here and easy to grab. Now, when we come back, I'm going to share with you two more things, one of which is kind of exciting and something that we discovered in our process of decluttering. Well, this is a testament to not being overly aggressive when you're decluttering. We still have boxes and boxes of things that we need to go through. A lot of it in the way of paperwork that belonged to Jamie's parents, some of it belonged to mine, and we're trying to kind of methodically go through it, discarding what we don't find valuable or need and keeping the rest. And this morning my husband came in, and in the process of going through one of those boxes, he said, well, this is interesting. And this is a letter signed by JFK to Jamie, Hub's father, who at that time lived in Enid and worked on the Kennedy campaign. And this is a thank you note from JFK. Cool. And I think it's so cool. It would have been after he won the presidential election, but before he actually took office. This is from December 16th, 1960. And we feel fairly certain that this is an original signature, but we are going to have it authenticated. We also have the envelope. And in either case, it definitely is a fun thing to have and to possess. We'll probably frame it and hang it on. So that's just like I say, be careful when you're going through lots of papers because you never know what you will find. And his father was on the State Board of Regents for Oklahoma, University of Oklahoma, and he has lots of commendations, lots of things like that. He was in the military, so there's just all sorts of things. He was a B-17 bomber pilot, so there's all sorts of things like that to go through, and some of it is worth keeping and some of it not, but this definitely was a keeper. Okay, something else I wanted to share with you. Because since I started rethinking, I love this kind of domino thing. I think of it as just kernels of popcorn. One starts popping and then all the other kernels start to pop. And once this entertainment closet kernel popped, it made me start thinking about Thanksgiving, which ones of my linens I wanted to use, how I was going to accommodate people this year because I am the Thanksgiving house. And Hubs and I were talking about it, and I think what we're going to do this year, last year we set it up in here, and that actually worked out fine. I had wanted to have it outside, but that didn't come to fruition. But so many of you originally, when we moved into the cottage, you said, oh, that this should be a dining room. And I did not want it at that point in time to be a dining room because it seems weird for the front door to enter the dining room, and we use it as a parlor far more than we would as a dining room. However, that doesn't mean along the lines of my philosophy about using every area of your house in whatever ways possible over time. It kind of falls into that category. And I thought, well, it doesn't have to be a permanent dining room, but it can be a seasonal dining room or an occasional dining room. So I think what we're probably going to do is I'm going to get 2 6-foot long tables and put them in here back to back to make one massive table. I'll then use these chairs on either end. I will move the settee out into here in front of that table and use the bench in here for seating, and then I'll temporarily relocate this chair to another area, and this will be 2 a very, very spacious area then for dining. I'll have 2 full 6-foot tables here to use. So I'll be able to have, be able to do that kind of grand centerpiece that I kind of miss being able to do at my other house and that I typically do for Thanksgiving. And then I can also just temporarily relocate. You know, if you do it for Christmas, if you relocate furniture and things like that to accommodate a Christmas tree, why can't you do it at Thanksgiving? So then I can just relocate some of these books and things, and this can be my dessert bar or whatever, and my main buffet bar can be on the island. So tell me your thoughts on that if you think it's something that could be workable. I also just thought, okay, how eminently charming would it be to have the little fireplace going and we're sitting in front of the fireplace on Thanksgiving with my mantle all decorated with pumpkins and things. I think it could just really be exceptional. So if you can visualize that too, this is my question of the day. Put your comments in the link below. You know what? It may work, it may not, but why not? Because it's my parlor. and I think all my guests are going to be pleased no matter what. But it is the dead of summer, so why not think about Thanksgiving? Well, thanks for hanging out with me today, but there is one final question that I think is really crucial for this time of year, and it is...
Okay, this follower says, Linda, it's time to order tulips. Have you ordered yours, and what is inspiring your order this year?
Okay, so yes, I am. I just placed my order with Color Blend. Some of you have wanted to know what I am ordering, and we're going to try to, on the screen here, thanks to some of the images on Color Blends, put up some of the specimens that I'm ordering. I'm ordering more Allium Ambassador. I am ordering some miniature tulips. I can't remember the name of them, but I ordered some miniature tulips for along Lemon Lane. Obviously, lots of tulips. French Rose Blend, Menton, Menton, Dordogne. And let's see, and for the back, then I'm gonna still go with my Ivan, I think it was Ivan Gutenov or something in the back, because they're gonna be red and gold, those kind of colors that I like to use in the back versus the front. And then probably the biggest category that I'm gonna be using is the Vidal bedspread collection, and it's all whites of different types, and I used that at my other house. It was absolutely brilliant. So you can anticipate that next spring there will be a lot more white representation in my tulip blends and probably in my pansies and things than there has been in the past. So if we can, Stuart, let's put up some of the images of those, but hopefully that answers your question. Is it time? Yes, but some things are starting to sell out. If your favorite blend is sold out, then I recommend just getting one that's close to it or creating your own. Or better yet, when you call Color Blends, you can say, I would like the look of, say, French Rose Blend, which typically sells out pretty fast. Where can I get that look with something that's still available? And they, with all of their expertise, will be able to come up with a suggestion for you that not only mimics that blend in terms of color palette, but will also mimic it in terms of progression and longevity of bloom. Some will bloom early, some will bloom mid, and some will bloom late. So there you go, guys. You guys have a great Saturday. This is the last Saturday before my sabbatical begins next month. We'll still be putting up information. It just won't be really new content, but I think we all deserve a break. So see you next time.